Welcome everyone today thank you for joining the Society of Thoracic Surgeons General Thoracic Surgery Database user group call. Today is Wednesday, August 25th. So thank you everyone for joining. On the call with me today, let's see, from the STS, we have myself, we have Jane Hahn, we have Emily Conrad, we have Ruth Raleigh from the core group representing our CHSD consultant, and we also have Sydney Clinton. From our IQVIA team, we've got Jean, Joe, Melanie, and Paul is joining us today. So thanks everybody for joining. Welcome. Also, just a friendly reminder, if you do have any questions, please submit your questions via the Q&A function. I believe the raise hand function is enabled. Carol's having an internet issue, so she is not able to join the webinar today, but I believe she does have the raise hand function enabled. So if you do need to chat or clarify your question, just be sure to use that raise hand function and make sure your microphone is enabled so we can hear you when you talk. But otherwise, if not, again, just please submit your questions via the Q&A and not the chat. So in terms of our agenda today, just have a few STS updates. I don't have a lot of information to go over today. Just have some STS updates, then we'll turn things over to IQVIA to provide their updates. And then as usual, we'll end the call with your user feedback. So if you have any questions for support, if you have a ticket number or an item you'd like them to look at, if you could actually go ahead and submit that question via the Q&A, and the IQVIA support team can start looking into your tickets or your questions and perhaps have a response for you when we get to the Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. So, all right. Our important notices. So I just wanted to touch on some upcoming dates, important items for general thoracic. The August training manual has been posted. I will speak more on that here in just a few minutes. Excuse me. The 2020 analysis rerun, those results, again, we are expected to have those available in early September. By early September, they won't be available by the 1st, so I expect within the first couple of weeks of September. If there is any delay or any, if there's a continued delay or any other update, STS will provide a communication to you all to keep you aware of the status when that data is available for posting or is available for you to review. You will also receive an email from STS regarding that data has been posted and is available. So again, we will provide communication to you if there's a delay or when that data is available. The spring 2021 harvest, as you're aware, was closed, and that analytic file was sent over to DCRI for analysis. The fall 2021 harvest, which we are currently undergoing, as you may know, it was originally scheduled to close, I believe this week on Friday. We did have a harvest extension, and the new close date for the fall 2021 harvest is Friday, September the 24th. Of course, that includes OR dates up through 6/30/2021. And the last day to opt out for that fall 2021 harvest is Tuesday, September 28th. Also, just a friendly reminder, as you all aware, AQO is coming up in October. The AQO meeting is scheduled for October 12th through October the 15th, with our General Thoracic Day being Wednesday, October the 13th. As you're aware, there is free registration for STS National Database participants. In order to be eligible for that free registration, you have to be assigned one of these roles here on the screen. If you have any questions about the role that you currently have assigned or any questions about contact for your site, please email us at stsdb@sts.org, and Jane and her team will be happy to assist you with that. If you have questions about registration, if you could please reach out to Amy Kasich. If you have questions regarding the CEUs or the agenda, anything AQO topic related, please reach out to Emily Conrad. And again, all of this information is found out on the STS website. And I believe, Emily, would you mind putting the link to the AQO page in the chat box? So everything that you need AQO can be found out on the STS website. There's a link to view the preliminary agenda. There's a link to add a calendar reminder, and also the link to register is also out on this page. So if you have any questions, start here on this page. And then if you have any additional questions, please reach out to Amy or Emily. All right, let's hop into our data version 5.21.1 update. As we discussed on the last on our last webinar, and as I've heard from many of you, the OnSave quality checks that were initiated were obviously not working. Well, they were working very, very well, but it made it to where participants were not able to save incomplete records. We heard from you all, it severely hampered your workflow. That was not our intention. So we have worked with IQVIA and the software vendors. Actually, Paul is on the call today, and he did send an email out to the vendors today that we are making a change to the software specs. So it will be these on-site quality checks will be changed to run when the user requests a data export for submission. So if a record is missing one or more of the required fields, the export file will stop and no export file will be created. So these required fields checks will be done again when you are creating your extract file for data file submission. We encourage the vendors to please provide you a message that would provide the user with the direct record identifiers and the fields that triggered that edit to fire. So I know I'm forgetting something else to mention about that, Paul. Is there anything you wanted to add about that?
Just that it's only some of the edit checks. It's the ones that look for missing data. You will still have some that will tell you if you have bad data, like if you put in a surgery date greater than today's date, it'll still stop you right there and you won't be able to save the record. But it's only when you're entering data that it'll stop you as you're entering it. The missing data, that's what runs when you're doing the export.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, I knew I was forgetting something. Thank you, Paul. And also, in regards to timeframes for this, we did ask the vendors, obviously, this will take them some time to implement. It's not going to be a quick instant change for them to implement, but they will have to go in and update their software and update the code and then roll that out to you all. So in terms of timeframes, we did ask them to implement, as quickly as possible, one, because this is severely hampering you all's workflow. So again, quickly as possible, no later than December 31st, so by the end of the year. One additional change that we are also implementing is a parent-child relationship change. We are asking the vendors to remove the parent from the mortality date variable, and that's sequence number 4300. And the reason we're doing that is if a patient has more than one operation, there could be conflicting parent values for the child field. So again, we are asking the vendors to remove that parent-child relationship for the mortality date variable. So that mortality date variable will now be open for, for all records. So there will no longer be a parent for that mortality date variable. The next thing that I wanted to touch on, again, as I mentioned earlier, the August training manual is now available and is posted out on the STS website. So one thing I did want to do is just give you a quick preview of the training manual as it is posted, because obviously it is in a little bit different format than what you all were used to. Bruce did cover this on our monthly webinar on our last call. So if you did not get a chance to join the monthly webinar, that webinar is recorded and posted out on the STS website. So feel free to go back and review that webinar if needed. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to go out and show you the current training manual. So let's see, let's go to STS National Database, click on General Thoracic, Data Collection, version 521.1. And the training manual here, the one thing that I wanted to point out here is the bookmarks. So the bookmarks are here for you. You can easily navigate to each section. And the sequence number here are the August updates that Ruth has added. I'll let Ruth, Ruth, I don't know if you want to touch on anything here. But again, I just wanted to point out that the training manual here has been posted and the bookmarks are here so you can go in and quickly find the additions. Also, oopsie, I apologize. Also the FAQ summary, which is the new document. I don't know, Ruth, did you want to run through and just give a quick update or of how this will move going forward?
Sure, yeah. So this is essentially following the same format that adult cardiac follows and now congenital heart follows as well. So I essentially just put the sequence number that I updated, the short name for that sequence, and then I go ahead and just sort of copy and paste the update in to this document. So that way, if you want to just take a quick peek here at this document to see things that have changed without tabbing through the entire training manual, they're summarized here for you. Some of them are challenging to summarize out of context. So I think, for example, sequence 1250 in this document, that FAQ applies to C78.00. So I didn't, copy and trace the entire section of the training manual here. It's just the update. So I think if anything isn't crystal clear from this FAQ document, that I would encourage you to look at the training manual and maybe it'll give you some more context for the update. But I thought, sort of a nice summary document for everyone to have available.
Right, and this will be a running document. So when our September updates come out, I'll add bookmarks here. So you'll have bookmarks. You can just click on August, September, and it'll be a running document. So this will be continued and the current updates will be at the top. So, and again, I'll add the bookmarks. You can, if you want to go back to August and find the updates from August, in October, you can just go to the bookmark and quickly navigate there. So let us know what you guys think. We'd love to hear feedback from you. So I know Ruth and Katie and Melissa and everyone has put a lot of effort into this. So it's a great job. I'm really super excited about it. So great work, Ruth. You guys did great, did a phenomenal job. All right. That's all that I have from the STS perspective. I'm going to turn things over to Joe next for our IQVIA update. Joe.
Great. Thank you, Leanne. Good afternoon, everybody. We're just going to run through some known issues that have been reported that we wanted to make everyone aware of this afternoon. Any items listed below are currently under review by the IQVIA development team and will be targeted for a future release. So we don't have a date yet for when fixes for these items will come out, but they are being looked at. Starting with a couple items related to the risk-adjusted dashboard report, STS 6921. The total number of mortalities displayed on the under operative mortality, the number of mortalities line, that number is correct, but we do have reports that the case list drill down isn't displaying all of those cases. And so we're working on a solution to correct that for you. STS 6927. We've received reports that the STS mean length of stay data appears to be incorrect. And so we're working with DCRI and the STS to confirm the correct calculation information for that section, and we'll have that updated as soon as possible. On the participant dashboard, STS 6995, we are looking to an issue where the percentages displayed on the report when you run it on the website are different from the percentages that are displayed when you export the report. So that is something that we are aware of and working on. In regard to the missing variable report, STS 7050, the MVR is incorrectly flagging the LFU date and LFU mortstat variables as missing when they're not applicable based on the demographics form version. So, for example, I think in the example for the bug, the demographics version is 2.2, but these two variables weren't added at that time, and so they should count as missing because they didn't exist. And so that's something we're working to make some updates for. And then STS 7100 for version 5.21.1 records, the MVR is incorrectly flagging the race multi-variable as missing even when it's been answered. And finally, next slide, there's one more item for direct data entry users in particular. This is kind of related to what they were discussing earlier. STS 7157, we have received reports that the critical errors on the form for direct data entry users is cumbersome and disrupts your workflow. And so we are working with the STS to address those concerns. And I think that's all I had. The usual.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, sorry, just the usual recommendations that if they have questions, they should follow up on their tickets. We'll be happy to look into items for you. And then anything that we didn't mention here, we'll bring to your attention as we prepare for the next upcoming call. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry, I've got a lot of, I hope you guys can't hear the construction in the background. I've got a lot of construction going on outside my window, so I apologize if you guys can hear that. All right, IQVIA support plan, you all are very familiar with this. Again, just the big ask here is to please include that participant ID number in your communications with STS as well as IQVIA. A list of resources that are available to you out on the STS website. Again, the STS National Database webpage, we have a lot of resource documents available. If you can't find what you're looking for out on the STS website, please feel free to email me directly and I can point you to the right direction for your information. Let's see here. Next, again, my contact information, if you need to reach me directly, you can reach me at ljones@sts.org. You can reach me via phone, direct line. Is here. And again, for any database operational questions, you can reach us at stsdb@sts.org. Again, if you have questions regarding the contact information for your site for AQO registration, please email us at stsdb@sts.org. If you have questions regarding your participation agreement or contract, any types of those types of questions, again, reach out to STSDB. And as usual, if you're not sure to contact, just reach out to me and I will get you in touch with the appropriate staff. Please be sure to mark your calendars for our upcoming webinars. Our monthly webinar is September 8th at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, and our next user group call is scheduled for September the 22nd at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And then we do have our new data manager webinar. This was supposed to be held, I believe it was this month, but we did push all of our new data manager webinars back to a date closer to AQO. So our general thoracic new data manager webinar is scheduled for September the 29th at 2 p.m. Central. So that one's not at 2:30. Just note that that is at 2 p.m. Central Time for the new data manager webinar. And as usual, marketing will send out an email reminder the day before those webinars has to occur. So that's all that I have. I do see some questions starting to come in. So let's take a look, and I believe, let's hop down to, I think Sydney's on the phone and she is our public reporting guru. So Sydney, for the current state for public reporting, that is based on 1/16 through 12/2018 operative cases. Looks like this might be updated in Q3 of 2021 for results from spring 2020 harvest, which would mean operative cases from 12/2019. Do we have a public reporting update? I know we're in discussions. I think there's talk going on about the next update for public reporting. Do we have any information that we can share at this time?
Thank you, Leanne. At this moment, the upcoming public reporting timelines are still under STS leadership discussion. Any modifications to the timeline, any consent submission details or website updates will be distributed to database participants in database news circulations. And very often we post updates to the public reporting website itself. And as always, feel free to reach out to me directly with questions concerning your participant public reporting.
Great, thanks, Sydney. And again, if you need to email Sydney for public reporting questions, she can be reached at sclinton, CLINTON, @sts.org. All right, Ruth, let's see, we have a question here from Jackie. For the laterality section, can supine be added? And I do know, obviously, we do not have supine currently listed for laterality.
Yeah, so the intent of the laterality field is to capture the laterality of the procedure that it's performed, not the patient's position at the time that the resection occurs. So what you're trying to capture is what was resected. So when I clarified most recently, I think it's helpful to recognize that lung resections generally have laterality, right? Patients have a right upper lobe or a left upper lobectomy, or they can have bilateral wedge resections, et cetera. Most hernia repairs and esophagectomies won't have a laterality, and you'll just code not applicable. You don't see, generally a right esophagectomy because you've removed the entire esophagus, and so it's just not applicable. So I think mostly think about procedure laterality in the context of lung resections is probably the most helpful tip that I can give people. It's not surgical position, it's what's actually removed, the laterality that they're trying to capture.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruth.
Yep. And then the next question I think was on ECOG score. For ECOG score, will the update in July apply for July discharges too? So if you look at the training manual for that ECOG, let me see if I can find the right sequence number. I think it's
ECOG is.
I had it pulled up and then I clicked off of it.
Yeah.
It's sequence 870, I think.
Yep, 870.
So there was some text that was added to the training manual before it was ever published that was in blue that said this field is highly recommended for record inclusion. If missing data, the entire record will not be excluded. So that was there in July when everybody was submitting their cases. The problem was that there was some conflicting information up above that was lined through, and then I typed in a clarification. So yes, your lung resections, if you submitted a lung resection without an ECOG score in July, that's fine. It will be, as long as it meets all the other criteria. It wouldn't be rejected simply because the ECOG score was missing. You would just get that warning display.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see, our next question. I know that in order to receive a star rating, we need to have at least 30 eligible records. Hold on. Is this for a rolling 3 years or is it for 1 year? So that's for the reporting period. So in order to, because the composite is run on a 3-year period. So in order to get that star rating, you have to have 30 eligible procedures or 30 eligible records for that lobectomy population or that esophagectomy population. Let's see. And someone had asked about the webinar. So here, let me just I want to pull this over. So in order to get to the webinars, the recordings, if you scroll down from the STS National Database page, to go down to the live webinars, click on View Webinars. For general thoracic, scroll down, you'll see the schedule here, and then click on this link here for this button for past GTSD webinars. Up here at the top is a link to earlier programs that we have. We have a YouTube playlist, so you can click there, and then our recording from our last webinar is located here. So here is a link to the webinar recording, as well as a link to the PDF slide deck. I hope that is helpful. All right, and let's see here. It looks like Joe is responding to Mary's question regarding her tickets.
Yeah, well, since there's nothing else, I can just do that live. Mary, if you have a RITM ticket number for that race, the race is showing up as missing, please provide that and we can look at that for you. If you don't have an RITM ticket number, please feel free to submit an email to our support team and we can look into that for you.
Okay, great. Also, Sydney has put her contact information in the chat box, so I just wanted to point that out also. And I did also, I had gotten an email regarding, I believe there was some chit chat regarding, I think it's sequence 3200, the data specs, 3200. So yeah, so in the data specs, the short name is PPI relief, and the long name is plan position indication PPI relief. So we know that is not correct. That was brought over, actually the long name was the same in the 241 data version. Right now, unfortunately, we can't correct the long name in this version of the specs. So we will correct that in the next version. We'll be sure to correct it in the next version. So again, we're aware that the long name is incorrect, but the short name is, the short name PPI use and the short name PPI relief. So again, we will correct that long name in the next version of the specs. We can't go in and correct it now since the specs have been published, but we can make that correction in the next version. Okay, let's get back to our questions.
Can I say one more thing too, Leanne? Sorry.
Yes.
To the beginning of the training manual, under the general information section, just so everyone is aware, I copied and pasted over from the IQVIA library the case inclusion for the star rating populations for lobectomy and esophagectomy, just because I was referring so many people back to that document in the IQVIA library that I thought maybe it would be helpful to put it here, save people a few clicks. So it's there at the beginning of the training.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruth. Yeah, and I've got that up on the screen if anybody wanted to see that. So thank you. From Kelly, if lung and esophageal cancer cases missing ECOG score are not rejected, are the cases included in the star rating? If the lung esophageal cancer cases missing ECOG score are not rejected, are the cases including, so the lung and cancer cases, we'll be looking at ECOG for lung and esophageal cancer cases, but we will not be checking, not be looking at required ECOG for all the other procedures. But if you have a lung or esophageal cancer case that's missing ECOG, then that record would be excluded from analysis. Does that make sense, Ruth? Or did I completely?
I think we're including them. I think they're, I think we can clarify further. I think they're including them, and I think they're like imputing value. They decided to do. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Kelly. We will come back and give further clarification on that. I do not want to tell you guys the incorrect information. So let us clarify, and then we can clear that up on the next webinar. Okay. All right. Not seeing any additional questions. I'm going to hold on just for a second. I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to point out regarding the specs or the training manual. Again, we do encourage any feedback that you may have for the training manual. We hope this new and improved version is so much more useful for you guys. Again, please just reach out if you have any comments or feedback for us. So we appreciate that. Anyone else from the STS team or IQVIA team have anything they want to mention that I may have overlooked? All right. Well, I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. If anyone does have any questions after today's webinar, feel free to email me directly. Again, a reminder to mark your calendars. The next monthly webinar is September 8th. The next user group call is September 22nd. And our next new data manager webinar is September 29th. Still not seeing any questions come in, so I think we'll just go ahead and end there. Just want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thanks everybody for joining today. Again, if you have any questions, just please feel free to email me directly, and I'm happy to assist in any way. Thanks everybody from the IQVIA side and from the STS side for joining. I appreciate you guys' help today. Thanks everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.